Good evening. Welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't Africans, the talk show that proves without the shadow of a doubt that the so called African American didn't find their way to America in the trunk of a ship. I'm your host, the Indigenous One. Today, we're going to talk about the time period between Black and the use of the term African American. And this can be a way, you can add to your genealogy. Sometimes you'll go look for your people and they'll be labeled as M. So when it says race in the box, it'll say M. Those are the Indian people. So today we're going to talk about how a nation of people went from once being called Black to now being called African American. So like in the 60s, the term African American wasn't used how it's used now. The term African American is a whole new market, and that's all it is. That's all it is. But I want to show, just in this time period, because when you talk about try to break it down into like 50-year intervals. That's enough for people to swallow. They can take that much information. When you start talking about ancient Egypt and all that, niggas don't know what they're talking about. They're just repeating what they heard. And if you put a little slick tongue on it, can make it sound, fantabulous. And if you're really listening, it still only sound like shit. So the time from Black to the people turning to African American, I want to share with you guys, and many of you already know this. So what happens when we go off and get an education, we kind of disconnect from where we are from. And that's all I'm trying to say. Damn, connect with your folks. You see what's going on in the world now. We're not going to be able to solve these problems being in the condition that we are now. Now, I know some, if we stay in the position that we are in now, we can forget it. They're trying to make sure that you don't procreate now. They're trying to stomp you out of it. And the only way they can do it is because we're not aware of certain things. We don't want to talk about it. We don't talk about stuff that matters. When you hear African Americans speak, it's 9.9 times out of 10 is some bullshit. Listen to them. You are connected to this. You being on this planet is like a bird or a deer, a tree. Yeah. But you can just do more things. And with the brain you have on you, really? But yeah. So Stan Orr says it. And Stan say we being replaced. Is that valid what he says? Is that valid? They talking about this in the churches? They talking about this in the schools? No. Because brothers like this and the next brother I'm going to show you, they was telling you. These cats was telling you. The brother you see on the screen right here, Bobby Wright. Put this in your phone, save it, look him up. Anything you can get your hands on about this, brother. Just read it. It's not a lot. He's really not popular in pop culture. And what I mean by pop culture, you know how they try to integrate into everything, muddle things up to keep us confused. Is that being done or not? So, other cultures are against it and making their voices heard. Why aren't we? Why do we still go to a place that destroys our mind? And we know it destroyed our mind because you went through it. See, we don't want to talk about that. All the time wasted from kindergarten to 12th grade. Was that 5 to 12? Why do we just throw that away? There isn't nothing else we can do. I'm talking about as a group, because a lot of times we get into this me thing, and it's not me. That's why your great grandmama had all those kids. She needed those hands. What you call the African American now has been cut off from that. So it's my job. This is my job to plug you back in. See, African Americans don't say, they run. And why? Because you're telling the truth. African Americans, blacks, and all those don't like the truth. They like lies. Because that's what they live. So let's get into this. This brother right here, Bobby Wright, came up with the term menticide. And I'm gonna show you how it's done, because they dissect this shit out of you with the quickness. That's why I put up that phrenology picture that shows us different sections of the brain. This is what these cats do. Some people call it brainwashing. Some people call it education. Some people call it religion. But if you ain't using the central nervous system that your mom and daddy created, you're a loser. This is how twisted up they got us. This is how twisted up they got us. Make you call yourself nothing. Black. So this is what I wanted to show you. So when I say black to African American, so when this cat was growing up, he's one of those civil rights eras. He would be like 80 to 85 now. But he died real young. And when you check him out, you're going to be like, damn, these are your people. These are your people right here. So when we ask you where you from, a better answer than the country would be a better answer. Where in the country? What was there? Who was those people there? It's like we're embarrassed to say. Some of the coldest people. These are your people. Your uncle could have knew him. One of your children could have been their teacher. Check this out. This is going to blow you away. Guess who he was the teacher of? Guess who this brother was the teacher of? Taught him in a school that the people in the community of that time. So think of Chicago in the 60s, 60 through 70. That time, you know how it must have been. Guess who this brother was teaching? And when you see this, what was these cats? How was these cats teaching these kids? You know who this brother taught? Who went to this brother's school? Fred Hampton, Chicago Black Panther Party, was educated early on by this cat right here. Bobby Wright. Check him out. Check him out. Check out where he's from. Check out all that, and you'll see why he's like he is. But when he was growing up, the term black was the term that they were using. So the term black, they was trying to get rid of you, really. Just wiping their feet on you, getting you out of here. But you didn't go. When this cat was born in 1940, 41, the term that was used back then was black. So when you hear this brother speak, he'll say the word black, 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 black all the time. After the term black, what was the term that was being used after the term black? And you have to remember, this is not just training you, this is training the masses who will be around you. After the term black, the term Negro. The term Negro was the word. African American wasn't used yet. And so this is what I'm saying. This is how they're trying to mind fuck you. African Americans have no history. African Americans, they have no beginning. They just popped up out of nowhere. And you've psychologically and romantically or whatever you're doing, hopping on to the term like it's a term that means something while you turn your back on where you come from. Ooh. Ooh. So when you ask the African American anything about so if you were going to ask a Chinese person the history of China, they'll tell you. If you want to ask the person the history of Japan and his lineage and all that, they'll tell you. When you ask African American about his lineage, he's all over the place. Most of the time he don't know. And all he got to do is just go back and, his people left him a lifeline. They don't want it. So since they don't want it, other people will come get it. Ain't that how it's working? Ain't that how it's working? So they're changing the language. They're going from black to Negro. Still not saying who the people are. But it don't matter because we've picked it up, and how we say we do, we can make it mean what we want it to mean. But you always make it stupid. Really? Negro? No, who are your people? Where are the townships that they come from? Where's the little cities they came from? You see how fast they was building what's that? In Tulsa, Oklahoma. You see how fast they was building these towns. I mean, they was all over. They built quick. And these people who you call daddy and mama, they just came and destroyed it. So got you to do what they want you to do, like you always do. That's the African American. So black, Negro. Then you come to a term. It's just Bob. The brother put the date. This brother knew it so cold. He knew the date. October 12th, 1986. You really got to put that. That should be a day. Is that Indigenous Peoples Day, October 12th. That I know that day is familiar. But then all of a sudden in 1986, the term African American was coming. Now, this brother right here, he was I think it's still in Chicago to this day. He's probably rolling over in his grave what's going on in Chicago. I'm sure it was like that back then. But he has a mental health facility in Chicago. I don't know if it's being ran like how he would run it, if it's getting government money or whatever. But he just talked about the mental capabilities of so-called African Americans. What are we doing? Blacks. What are we doing? And this was then. I caught on to this brother in the 90s. First heard him, he has it's on YouTube too. You got to check it out. It's an hour long. It will change the way you see things. Because brothers like this, they talk about things that we don't really talk about. You know, we talk about shit like She-Hulk and all that stuff that don't matter. What you doing for things, you know, stuff that don't matter. The majority of us are into that. The majority of us are into that. So after Negro, we moved from Negro, we went to African American. Now remember, in these schools are very important. Now, if you're going to school to be, let's say a doctor, or let's say a nurse, or let's say an engineer that are gonna, you know, do things in the 3D, the reality. When you start learning things and talking about stuff that this stuff you can't hold, you can't see, you know, what are these people telling you? So now this brother Amos Wilson, back to Bobby Wright. Bobby Wright. So when you go check out these guys, there's going to be something about them that sticks, that reminds you of him. This is how we should be learning. But for some reason, we don't teach like that. This brother, Bobby Wright, came up with a term called menticide. This is why you got to check them out. Menticide. Menticide is the destruction of a person's or group's mind, with the ultimate goal being destruction of that person or that group. One more time. Menticide is the process of destroying a person's or group's mind, with the ultimate goal being destruction of that person or group. That's how he comes with it. Go check him out. You're going to learn a whole bunch of other stuff about him. I can't even tell you, because you're going to pick up your own. You're going to get your own vibe on it. But check him out. So with the Bobby Wright, that was black. Then comes this African nationalist stuff. Now, you'll notice that they always change the lingo at a certain time period, you know, when a certain age group that was born at a certain time on the planet, you got to keep the people off. You got to keep the people off foot. You got to always have them tripping up. You always got them saying, oops. You got to always have them not knowing nothing. That's the purpose of the schools. So brothers like that, these people were sent from places. So like Bobby Wright, he's from a place called Hobson City, Alabama. Check out the history of that town. And this is what I'm saying. These are your people. What's so cold about Hobson City, Alabama? They couldn't vote, so they separated from the city that they were voting, and they were the majority of people. They made their own way. They didn't want to be a part of that. Devil, you can't make me be part of your shit. But the African American, you can. And so watch that, because the African American is being led straight. And I'm sure many of you guys see it, being led straight to the chopping block. So this Amos Wilson is cold. Check out some of his stuff. Off the hook. And one of the things that you will notice about these brothers was the upbringing they got from where they were from. So Amos Wilson, this brother, moved to New York. Check him out. Amos Wilson. Now, he was on that Africa thing because when he was going to school, that was being pushed. So I understand people, when people get in these schools, you better not ask no questions. You do as you're told. Ain't that what the school says? Huh? Right? Right. You better not let these kids pass you by and you not sharing this information with them. You better not do that. You better not do that. So this cat was teaching African nationalism. Brilliant. But the words he was using, it was all about Africa, all about Africa, all about Africa, all about Africa. Brother, what about here? And see, it gets me to think, brother, all these high degrees and doctors and you not coming across this information, none of these information that are in these archives. I find that hard to believe. So Vincent Tarver says, Africa movement, I'm not on it with American Indian. Brother, if you put your question, I can read it clearly. I'll put it up and answer it. So Stan, you got it right on, huh? So this guy was teaching that African nationalists, and this is where a lot of the population is on, especially people who call themselves African American. But they're in a conundrum now, because the Africans that are coming over here, nigga, we don't know you. It ain't that. It ain't that. See, you know it because you know who you are. But think about the millions that don't. African nationalism. So when you see people like, okay, so listen, so this is how you know who they are. This is Vincent Tarver, American Indian, right? Because my people work for low wages, but wasn't slaves. So this is what you do to these assholes. So Vincent Tarver, probably a bot. This probably somebody who saw And see, and one of the thing with these people, these foreigners that are coming over here, they can treat you how they treat you because you don't know. You don't know. They think they have all that. They don't. What could they do without you? I'll wait for that on the screen. Somebody gonna tell me that. What would they do without you? They look stupid all the time, Hawkeye. It's just that we don't say nothing. Whatever they say, we go with. No, they're I no, you know what? Hawkeye says they're culture vultures too. No, they're not culture vultures because we're not even maintaining the culture. They have to want to take it. Right? They not taking it, we giving it up. What Malcolm X, a couple of other brothers back then said, without you, what could they do? Without you, what could they do? Hmm? And so a lot of times when we bitch and whine, it's because we're embarrassed. Because everything they've done, we've been their sidekick, right? Right? Everything they do, we're right there with them, right? Then whine about, are you being too? Please stop that. Is really bad, and it's so cold that you didn't teach the kids nothing, and that's all they have to hang on. That's all they have to hang on. So that's why the cat Alex Tarver, he can talk, but you know what? One thing Alex Tarver won't do, he won't tell us where he's from and why he won't go back there or why he's exiled from his home, because we don't ask those questions. We just what would your mama do if you went to somebody else's country and acted like a total asshole? She would be embarrassed because she taught you better, right? They don't go with that. Uh, I mean, whatever you want to call them, ask them how would their people feel back where they're from if you came over there and act like they did here. Ask them that. See, that's the problem with us. We think we're black. We think we're African American. You're not. Your people have places all over this damn country. And when they're turning you from black to African American, they're just aiming you in another direction. Why would you confuse people to that extent? It's not like they're going to teach you something different because you won't learn. This is how you go from black to African American. Now, and this is the mental surgery that went on in the 70s and 80s when you were going from black to African American. They were just cutting certain parts of your being out of you. So, what the people who were coming off of those farms into these cities, they would do stuff like, keep everybody together. Everybody would work for the whole. Why? Because if everybody's doing it, it's going to be more than enough. Hey, we can build what? 5 men? What? Could probably build a house a week? Huh? 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 You gonna buy a bed from Korea and that's all you did was made furniture here in the 30s and 40s? Huh? The mental surgery that went on. And when you find out how it is, it's really gonna blow you away. So with Amos Wilson was cool, but he was just stuck on an African thing to me. But I think if you listen to him, the ideas that he have, if they're applied here, you can do it with your family, your family, your kin, and all the people that connects you to the people, because you're connected to the people and the people are connected to the land. And you've always done amazing stuff with the land. Some of the best farmers in the world. Okay, so the African nationalism, that's what has it. But the Africans coming over here, they not they not they not on that. The Africans over here coming over here, they're not with that. They're trying to get paid. They're leaving their home for fiat to come here. They're not going to help you. They won't even help their people at home. Snap out of it. Snap out of it. So one of the things that I wanted to share with you is to check out where these cats are from. Very interesting. When you get a chance, I would check them out. All these places, all over. They have towns that people left and never came back. These are your people. These are who your people are. You don't think you can take a DNA test with the land, with the earth that your grandmama, granddaddy, great great grandmama, granddaddy passed through? You don't think you can get that? You don't think you can test your DNA against that? This is where we are. I mean, we won't even do the simplest. Won't even think about it. Won't even think about it. Put you on that concrete and you ain't thought about leaving yet. When I was talking to you about Bobby Wright, he's from a place called Hobson City, Alabama. Let's check out what these cats did. The area that is currently known as Hobson City was first known as Moray Quarters, a predominantly Black community adjacent to Oxford, Alabama. At the time, Blacks were permitted to vote in both city and county elections. The Black vote was usually the controlling factor during elections, and they soon became isolated from the city of Oxford. On August 16, 1899, the community gained self-respect by filing a petition with the Calhoun County probate judge to incorporate into a separate entity. These your folks right here. Am I lying? Them your folks. But you tell them they're not their folks, you're an African. That's what the African American do. So if you ever hear me dragging they ass, know why. This is what these cats do. This is what these cats do. This is what they do. Hobson City, Alabama. Now, so if you're taking 20 east, you're gonna pass through Oxford on the freeway, and it's all built up, pretty, got a whole bunch of baseball diamonds and stuff. This city, Hobson City, is still thriving. This city, Hobson City, is still thriving. See, I know you guys see what's going on in all these cities. I know you know what's going on in Chicago first of the year. I know you know. They're trying to get anarchy here. And it damn near is already going on. Just the people, the we have the right amount of people to make that's keeping it not going over too bad. But God damn, you hate life that bad? Negroes, yeah. They nothing for life, but they want to live it. And they also want to screw somebody else's over. That's why it's important that you remain confused. That's why it's important that you remain confused. So that's Hobson City. So the place where Amos Wilson is from is a place called Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Check this out. Check this out. These are your folks. These are your folks. These are your folks. These are your folks. It's in a place called Forest County. Some of the baddest trees in the world there. Now, remember, a lot of Negroes in Mississippi ran up to Chicago. Okay, so would you say all that's going up in Chicago is not trying to tell us something? I mean, just think about it. Don't come up with no, answer. Think about it. Is what's going on with the Chicago, what's going on with the Negroes in Chicago? Well, we have this hatred for life. Is that telling us something? If you say so, please put it up, because I just want to make sure that I ain't crazy. Check out this Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And one of the things I wanted to show you about it is this. This is what I wanted to show you. So, and this is one of the ways that they rip your mind out of your head. So, when you now this is Wikipedia. It's not the best, but it's a resource. You can go to 100 other sources, but this is quick, and you can find places like this. Real quick. It has the footnotes, so to say. So when you do the 2020th century, the census, and you look at the Hattiesburg racial composition, Black or African American, I want to show you something, and you guys got to keep this in mind when you these forms and all this stuff that we filling out. How come nobody else has 2 designations? This is what I say. They're trying to lead you somewhere. I mean, damn, you're supposed to have foresight. That's something that a lot of people don't have. You have it off the rip and refuse to use it. the percentage of people in there are called Black African American. That's the name of the program tonight. That's the name of the program tonight. Black to Mississippi, right? Check this out. Check this out. And this is what I'm saying. We can keep being dumb if we want to. We can keep being dumb, not knowing nothing, just any of these cats that out here that just talking dumbness, and we go with it. Why? And we repeat it. And then we'll say it back like we came up with it ourselves. We got African American roles. Check this out. 50% of the city, and this is what I'm saying, when you come up with these people who are telling you that they Native Americans and stuff, this is what I'm saying. We got to know stuff. We got to see this stuff. This should be, every time we talk about stuff like this. Check this out. And how it rolls is because our dumb asses go with it. Check this out. How many Negroes have you seen say, I'm Native American? How many people have you seen that? Huh? We call ourselves Native Americans. Why wouldn't you just call yourself American? Because it's another classification created for somebody else, not you. So, well, how you know that? Because when you go to all these cities, the Black African American is always the majority of people. The Native American, less than 1%. Why? Because there are people coming up pretending to be you, taking all the resources, these 89 people, pimping these 2,400 up, 24,000 up here. And the mayor, check out the mayor of Hattiesburg, Mississippi. It ain't one of these people. How does a place 51% of the population get controlled by everybody else? I mean, you do it with glee. You smile. You're glad to do it. That's the African American. Tell me I'm lying. This is what African American does, and look at you like what? Not being like those men were who cut off from the other city they were attached to and became their own city. The African American doesn't do that. The African American needs to be by his daddy, the one who created him, to tell him what to do. Period. So I was talking to a young lady today, and she was like, yes, sir, I can see what you're saying. She said, I can't believe it. She said, I never looked at it like I never looked at it like that before. I'm like, because you don't look at it. But you'll get mad at me for telling you, and I know how you roll. And this is how we stay twisted up, by not knowing anything. So you got to remember, integration was not guaranteed to last forever. You understand that? See, there was a time when they were moving from color to Negro. They had to let you in, integrated. It wasn't what you were getting from them. It was what they were getting from you. And you opted into the city that you're seeing fall apart right before your very eyes. the information, how they treat the citizens. And we right along with it. Won't even think for ourselves. I'm talking about this is the majority of people. This is the majority of people. And it's going cool because you have a lot of, indigenous people, they're seeing it. They're connecting. Wherever you grow something, if you take the desert out of China, China's going to be messed up. That's part of its ecosystem. If you take the people from their homes, it's going to mess up the world. You're throwing off the balance. That's one thing. But when you throw off the balance because you think you can do whatever you want to do, dude, are you serious? And this is what you're seeing happening right now with the so-called African American. It is meant to destroy you and to get you to be in it, to get you to want to be part of it. And it's like the brothers say, we do it with glee. You see when people talk about the Buffalo Soldiers and how yeah. Well, isn't that part of the reason you killing each other now? You went to go kill your brothers up, clear out the Midwest and thought you was getting something from it. You didn't. They just use you as cannon fodder. And like JT say, you do it with glee. And this is where we have what's going on with African Americans now. So what we find ourselves in now is this racist, sexist. It's just like it hates people. This AI, all this changing, and we cool with it. Matter of fact, a lot of us want to show that we'll undo anything. But the cool part about it is, and this is why I love my folks, a lot of people see it. It's just this artificial intelligence that they got running the world now. And I'm glad that you guys see through it. So with that, racism could only be neutralized by transforming a society and the systems of power. And that's my job. A lot of times you may think that you're up against the world. You're really not. You are really transforming society. So let's say if you have a brother in a city, let's say Omaha, Nebraska, and he's talking to some young men and he's really pumping them up and make them look at themselves totally different than what he's taught about themselves. He gives them a reason. Let's say if it's an auditorium with 200 men, 10% of them gonna listen to what he say. 10% is gonna listen to what he say. So one person, seriously, like I'm saying, you're like a tree. You're like a big stone, a river. You have that type of energy running through you. But if you don't think you're a part of it, you ain't. So if we're ever gonna fix this thing, because come on, it's really a shitty world. Now I know a lot of y'all, y'all got a funeral to go to in a few days, These Europeans, they dog us out because they can. because he has the power to do so. And like I say, he gets a lot of his power from you, because you would rather argue and fuss and fight with each other than solve that problem. And he has all kind of auxiliary Negroes that he have trained to be with him. You can name it's what I mean. We ought to do that one night. Come up with all the groups that we've tried to be a part of in the past 100 years. I bet we come up with 100 trying to get away from yourself. And again, they like to victimize you because, the question is, what are you going to do about it? When you ask that question, the Negro never, huh? What you mean by it? So we would rather fight and dog each other out and call the women bitches and call the men dogs. I heard this sister say, check this out. This is what I'm saying. Somebody say you hate life. So these people don't like breathing. They don't like going swimming at the beach. Sister just told me she went to Key West. She was like, "Oh my God, what? You have places here that are off the hook in Mississippi, in Alabama, in Arkansas. You just call it the country, and no, I ain't been there. Shit, man. You know, you don't even know. Just turned your back on your land and will lie and say you don't." If you ever get a chance to read a book by Amos Wilson, pick up a book, Blueprint for Black Power. Uh, like I say, the things he say could very well be applied here and now. Highly intelligent cat. And so why I wanted to share those two men with you, because they were from places that you don't hear about every day. But they were something. They were your family. They were people that said things to make a lot of people look at themselves in a different way. I would suggest those brothers, for your reading enjoyment. You're trying to develop the mind of a child, because once kids start to read, they be eating them up. Psychogenic brain development. The behavior of human beings, whether psychological, social, cultural, lingual, or intellectual, is to a very great degree determined by a unique structure and organization, the central nervous system. Why the central nervous system is so important, and this is why I'm saying they trying to do that black man against black woman thing. Don't fall for it, y'all. Because like I say, the brother said they're trying to replace you. Now they're trying to get rid of you. The best way they can do it, see, if they did it, it would cause an alarm. But if they get you to do it, everybody else gonna join in and help. Because you don't care. What I hear these brothers and sisters talking about, these transgendered and all these people trying to be things other than themselves, because remember what Francis Cress said. Francis Cress said, hey, when you start seeing all these men dress up as women and wanting to be women, that means they know that the hammer's about to drop. And they're going to put themselves in a position of a woman so they don't have to deal with what's going on now. That's why these cats doing that. Huh? You just gonna have kids walk away to get a transgender operation and you have sons because you're a man and you want to get in touch with your feminine side, for real, that's menticide. I have heard a sister say, if any woman is pregnant by a black man, abort that motherfucker. This is what women are saying. You got a lot of women that like ain't got nothing to do with the brother. Ain't got nothing to do with the brother. It's yourself. And since you don't want to look in the mirror, you're going to find somebody to blame. That's all of us everywhere. I mean, you always you love to hear the stories about, oh, what's going on? People making things better. Women, a single mother raised her son, and now you love hearing stories like that. But you always get the short end of the stick. What's up with that? You always fail. It ain't what you mad at. It's you. The system that comprises of the human brain and spinal column, I'm gonna end it right here. But you gotta know this. And this is what I mean. We gotta stop being confused, not knowing shit. Huh? It's really embarrassing because anybody can come tell you anything, and they normally do. So I get into it a lot of times with a lot of brothers because they're into this religious aspect. And they feel that because they're a man, they're supposed to be in charge and do things according to what I say. And I'm like, then why is your community so fucked up? And then it almost gets into a fight because the brother can't explain what he's saying, how it makes sense. And that's what African Americans do. So you get into it with them, you can't get no common ground because all they're going to do is lie because they don't know what the hell they talking about. And yet the majority support them. The majority of people send them millions of dollars. Or they're on somebody's payroll. This is what I'm saying, brothers. You got to look at it like this. And when you look at it like this, it's going to change everything. The spinal column, the brain and the spinal column. One of the things I get into with brothers, and I'm like, dude, you're looking at it wrong. These babies don't have your blood. You tell a brother that, he want to fight. He want to fight. Just because he heard that bullshit his whole life, he want to kill you because you said something that if he do, and when you tell him, and he, oh goddamn, I never thought of it like that, because you don't think, Negro. The babies have the mama's blood. The mama, the direct connection to the earth. That's why they call her mama after Mama Earth. Why? Because she gives to the children what the earth gives to her. She just shares it with everybody. I'm gonna make this simple. Simple. Well, if he ain't got our blood, then what he got? And this is what I'm saying. This is especially to the brothers who don't. I mean, damn. The central nervous system, the spine, and the brain. Isn't that what a sperm cell is? The Negro, I don't know. I never saw a sperm cell before. This is why we lose. Simple shit. Some shit you can just look at. It's like you calling yourself black, and when you ask you, well, if you're black, what color is your hair? I don't know. That's the vibration that the African American black Negro is on. This is what they teach their children. Right or wrong? You're damn right. Doesn't the sperm cell look just like a brain and a spine? Huh? I mean, it's that simple. What's a sperm cell? If you can pick one organ on your body, what would the sperm cell look like? I mean, what would it look like? What would the sperm cell look like in your body? And this is simple. You ask 2-year-olds this, they be like that. The brain and the spine. See, then this is what happens when you're taught all of this, nonsense, the stuff that you can see for yourself. People can teach you things that are total and utter bullshit, and you will go with it and deny what you're looking at. And the ability to learn, I mean, dang, simple stuff. Because you have been locked into something and you can't get emotionally attached to it. Get emotional and even can't explain why. This is the African American. So this is my suggestion, just one of them. You see what's going on in these cities now. You see what's happening in places like Jackson, Mississippi, where the water is shit. And it's like that everywhere. It ain't just in Mississippi. Jackson, Mississippi, remember, these pipes are metal pipes that were put in the 20s, 30s, and they're iron pipes. I'm talking about the 100 years ago, and they're iron pipes. You don't think they leaching nothing in the water? So, with that being said, how would you feel if all the Negroes in Mississippi, just you could snap your fingers, now let's go fix up home? If all the Negroes in California, that's from Alabama, Texas, if they went back home, because they're being gentrified in those cities anyway, and they don't care. They're going to go down with the ship. Now, I will say, you have a lot of people get the hell out them cities. That's a good thing to watch too, because the look on their face is like, I didn't know it was like this. And they love it. So, like I'm saying, watch these terms that these people put on you. You should be able, what's your term? What you say? You're not here. You're not here to be somebody else's footstool. You are here for a reason. I suggest you find out what that reason is. Because these kids that are coming up now, they're not going to be doing the same shit that you're doing now. They ain't going to be writing all over themselves. They're not going to be getting long fingernails. They're not going to be getting long eyelashes. I seen a chick with eyelashes on her bottom eyelash. I'm like, you got to be crazy. You got to be crazy. Do not let these people tell you who you are. You have that power. You have a mama, you have a daddy, he got a mama, you connected to these people, all these people connected to this earth. What do you mean you can't find yourself? So look, we're gonna go ahead and end it now. Get on over to aa.a.com. Check us out over there. Book is sold over there. Check us out. Support us. Um, we're in these schools trying to help these kids read. It's bad, y'all. So find your families. Find out where your families are from, who they were, what did they do? What did they do? What did they produce? We know in the deep South, food production was the thing. They produced food. But what else? What other trees did they have? Pine trees, oak trees. What were the significance of those trees? What was the significance about the ecology around where your people were from? You'll find out what they did with that. What are the fruits that are grown there? What are the animals that predominate there? These are your folks. These are your folks. It's you. See, these people don't die, they just live through you. Right? You had ways of burying your people. You didn't pay a foreigner to bury your people? Huh? Who does that? Go to some of these towns. Go to some of these places where some of these mounds are. Get with these people. You got brothers and sisters that works in a lot of these archives, um, genealogy clubs, and all that. Get with them and ask questions. People right there. All you got to do is ask. So all you got to do is ask them. So get with your folks and teach these kids. Teach these kids. They should be as smart as you now because they pick it up and they pick it up and then they put their funk on it. So I want to tell all you guys good night. You guys have a good day tomorrow and we'll see you guys this weekend. Peace, everybody.